This video, we're going to do our first review for Season 3 of The Flash. Yes, The Flash has returned. Now, before I get started, as some of you may know, if you did see my video yesterday, you could tell I was coming down with a little something. Well, it hit me like a ton of bricks today. I'm really not feeling very well, but I'm going to try and get to this video as soon as possible without missing most of the details of what happened in tonight's show. I thought it was a very good kickoff episode. It left a lot, left you wanting more. At least it left me wanting more. I got to say, I didn't expect them to get through I don't want to say they got through the Flashpoint, because obviously there's still some residual effects of what Barry did even after he returned to his current timeline, and that's the part that has me intrigued. But very interesting episode. We see that Barry is back in a time that, well, basically picking up where we left off last season, where he went back in time. He stopped the Reverse Flash from killing his mother, and it changed everything. It changed his whole life, changed the whole timeline, and he's been keeping Reverse Flash locked up this whole time, for whatever reason, maybe to avoid from Reverse Flash getting out and doing something drastic. But in doing that, he also was learning reluctantly, and I think Barry knew deep down inside that what Eobard was telling him was true, was that little by little, as time progresses, he's going to begin to lose the connection he had with his prior timeline. And the more he used his speed, the faster he would lose those memories. And we saw that play out throughout the episode, in particular in very key moments where he would reflect on some great times with his friends and Iris and stuff like that. And we see in this timeline that, well, everything is going good for Barry. His parents are back. He's got a good relationship with them. He's very happy. The West family is a bit unhinged. Joe obviously has a lot of issues. We learned that throughout the episode. Iris and Wally seem to get along fine, but Wally is now the speedster of the city. He is the hero of Central City. And Barry, in the beginning, seems to be okay with that. He seems to be okay with the fact that, hey, there's another Flash. I don't have to worry about doing this. And I thought it was interesting that when he first decided to make contact with Iris, they immediately connected. She immediately was attracted to him. And as we learned throughout the episode, it's because of that prior connection. I guess you could say in some ways, it kind of, that connection is not limited to space and time. You know what I mean? Even though she doesn't know this Barry directly, she felt something strong with him from the moment she met him, and she was very compelled to be by his side. Only to find out that later, as Barry started to realize what was happening to him, he revealed to them who he really was. And this is where Barry begins to realize, I think, that even though he's happy to have his mother back, he's happy to have his father back, he's really missing his prior life, to the point that he kind of tries to scramble the whole team back together in one fell swoop. And in doing that, he only causes more harm. First of all, Cisco never wants to get involved in the first place. Caitlin doesn't even know who the fuck everybody is. And it turns out she's not even a scientist. And I thought it was an interesting episode. Now, this new villain, we got to see a little bit of him, the rival. He doesn't strike me as being strong enough to deal with Barry. I think Barry has had such test to this point. When you consider, Reverse Flash, when you consider Zoom, during the battle, you could already tell, it looks like he can handle this guy pretty well, and he does. But he turns his back a little too soon. And if not for Joe, excuse me, really, really under the weather. If not for Joe, Barry probably would have been killed. But because of what he was doing, because of his interference and his getting involved and revealing so much, maybe things turned out the way they probably shouldn't have. When he finally leaves the timeline, basically Wally's not on his deathbed, but he's not looking too good. Joe's not in good shape. He's basically leaving his parents to hang up in the air. So it's very interesting that, I was very upset last season when Barry went and did what he did. Not upset at the show, not saying it was a bad show or a bad episode. I liked the episode. I liked that Barry went and did that, because that's his character. That when you consider what he lost, it makes sense. It's perfectly understandable. But I was still upset at the character, because he still has a lot of good things there. Iris is finally falling for him. He's got Joe. He's got Wally now. He always has Kate and Cisco, and even to some degree, he's got the professor. So, there's a lot of there was a lot that he left behind that I don't think he realized, and by the time he realized it, now it's too late. As when he finally returned to his timeline, something different is happening. Something changed, and even though they remember him and some of the things that he recalls have happened, like his father's death, there's some small detail that happened there that wasn't like that when he was there before. And that's the fact that apparently Joe and Iris are not on speaking terms. And it seems very serious, to the point that Joe was severely offended that Barry even brought up Iris' name. And even Wally was like, Barry, what the hell would you even do that for? At first, I thought she was dead. When Joe reacted the way he reacted, I thought she was dead. So, but apparently she's alive, and apparently there's a falling out. Now, here's my opinion. I'm going to leave my thought on what I think happened. I think back in Barry's timeline, I think Wally is the Flash. I think Wally is already Kid Flash at this point. I think there's some portions of that timeline that Barry was living, the fantasy timeline, I'll call it. I have a feeling some of that leaked into his timeline. And what's happening is the reason Iris and Joe don't talk is because Iris did have that relationship with Wally and didn't share it with Joe. Joe didn't know that Wally was the Kid Flash, and something very similar happened in which Wally got hurt, and that's when Joe found out that Wally was the Flash, and Iris never told him. And that's my theory, that's what's going on there. And I'm sure Barry has something to do with that. I'm sure Barry's in the middle of that, but he just doesn't know what the details are. We saw the coming attractions. Obviously, him and Cisco, from the little that we saw, they don't seem to be on the greatest of terms. So a lot of things change. And you want to know something? I'm going to say right now, I think it's Barry's fault. It's Barry's fault. He can cry all he wants about the Reverse Flash and this and that and his mother and all this. He is the cause of this. And whether or not he'll be able to get it back to normal remains to be seen. I don't think so. I think the best he can do is mitigate it. Obviously, this rival Flash is back on the horizon. Even though he was defeated in the other timeline, he's obviously coming to fruition in Barry's timeline. And then there's something, the Alchemy or the Alchemist. And that's going to be very interesting. I'm sure some of you DC aficionados can school me on the Alchemist or Alchemy and even rival Flash. But I thought it was a very good episode. I am very surprised that they pulled him out of that timeline so quick. I really thought that was going to linger for a couple of episodes, but they didn't. He's right back in his timeline, but I have a very strong feeling some of that timeline he was in leaked over with him, and I have a feeling, this is my theory, and I could be completely wrong, but this is my theory. If there's leaks out there, I don't know anything about them because I don't read them. I like to try and be surprised. But I think Wally's already the Flash. I think the fallout between Joe and Iris has to do with Wally. I think Wally's kind of always in the middle, but he still has a relationship with his father. He still has a relationship with his sister. But there's a fallout there for some reason. Or it could be that Eddie's back in this picture and Eddie's still dating Iris, and there's something going on there because Eobard's still alive. There was always that possibility that Eddie would be back. So maybe that's a possibility, which is funny because the guy's name was Eddie, and he almost looked like him. But I was like, is that Eddie? I'm like, is that the Eddie? But it looked like him, but I don't think it was him. So that reminds me, too. I bring up Eddie, and I was thinking about that when I saw the show because the guy's name was Eddie. I know his last name wasn't Thawne, but he looked similar to him. I kept trying to look at him like, is that him? Is that him? But I don't think it was him. I don't think. But it kind of made me question it, too, because Barry kind of gave him a funny look as well. So maybe that was him. But then when they show him at the end of the show and I took a closer look, I'm like, I don't think that's not him. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm sick. My eyes are watery, and maybe it was blurry or something. I didn't see it. So confirm with me. Is that Eddie Thawne, like Eddie from the first season who died, or is that a different Eddie? I'm thinking it's a different Eddie because the last name's different. And while the look is similar, it doesn't really look exactly like him. So kind of threw me for a loop there. Either way, I thought it was a great first episode. It's really got me intrigued as to what's going to happen going forward. I want to know if some of my theory, at least some of it, is correct. I think the portion that might be correct is part of the past leak, part of that fantasy leaking over into his current timeline. But whether or not Wally is the Flash, or whether or not the other theory I have about Wally being the Flash and the fallout between Iris and Joe, I don't know if that's necessarily true. But obviously something happened, and I'm dying to know what it is. I'm dying to know what it is. But anyway, guys, that's it for this review. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. What did you think about the first episode? What are your theories as to what's going on in his current timeline? And tomorrow's Arrow, I may be doing the Arrow review Thursday because tomorrow is the Mets playoff game against the Giants, and I might have to postpone watching Arrow till Thursday. So, but if I do watch it, my review will be up tomorrow. Otherwise, you can definitely expect it on Thursday because I got to see how my Metsies do. But that's it, guys. So, again, share your thoughts. I'm really down to hear what some of you guys think. Some of you DC aficionados, please school me on the Rival and the Alchemist. I'd love to know more if you were so kindly would do so in the comments. And we'll see what happens next week, man. It's already off to a good start. I love this show. All right, guys, that's it for this video. This is Rob signing off for ETN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy. Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video, we're going to do our first review for season 3 of The Flash. Yes, The Flash has returned. Now, before I get started, as some of you may know, if you did see my video yesterday, you could tell I was coming down with a little something. Well, it hit me like a ton of bricks today. I'm really not feeling very well, but I'm going to try and get to this video as soon as possible without missing most of the details of what happened in tonight's show. I thought it was a very good kickoff episode. It left a lot, it left you wanting more. At least it left me wanting more. I got to say, I didn't expect them to get through I don't want to say they got through the Flashpoint, because obviously there's still some residual effects of what Barry did even after he returned to his current timeline, and that's the part that has me intrigued. But very interesting episode. We see that Barry is back in a time that, well, basically picking up where he left off last season, where he went back in time. He stopped the Reverse Flash from killing his mother, and it changed everything. It changed his whole life, changed the whole timeline, and he's been keeping Reverse Flash locked up this whole time, for whatever reason, maybe to avoid from Reverse Flash getting out and doing something drastic. But in doing that, he also was learning reluctantly, and I think Barry knew deep down inside that what Eobard was telling him was true, was that little by little, as time progresses, he's going to begin to lose the connection he had with his